Hey, I'm Lerp. I analyze indie games for developers and provide feedback. I hope you all have had a happy holidays, or if you're new here, I still hope you had a happy holidays. It doesn't really change shit. But today we're looking at an idle incremental game, and it's called Magic Regrowth. It's available now on Steam. Well, it's not available now. The demo's available now on Steam. The goal is to gain a bunch of mana through gardening, planting these cute little plants and watering them. And then eventually you plant this big, beautiful white tree. And that's the goal of the game right now. The plants do gather mana while you're away. And yeah, it's just a really nice, peaceful, relaxing, and beautiful time. Now, although I did have a good time playing the game, there is kind of an issue with how the genres are not really fused together here. They're kind of just slapdash together. I don't know if that's an actual word. I'll Google it later. Because the genres at their core are kind of clashing. With gardening games, it's always best to have a nice variety of beautiful plants so that you can have all of this gorgeous garden going on. Whereas with incremental games, it's best to focus on the highest rate earning. So you have people who are going to want to play this the incremental route, where their island is just going to be this crowded mess of single plants being spammed. Or you're punishing people who want to have a beautiful garden because they're not going to be able to achieve the best rates because they're not playing as an incremental player. The next flaw that we have in the game is the rates are not properly progressive to the cost of what we're planting. Now, what's important to rates is the area in which the plant will take up and the simple equation that's already provided. We're looking for the most mana we can receive per second weighted. So to begin, I separated the plants into the areas they're allowed to take up. So we have aquatic plants, we have our tree category where they're quite large, and then we have our flowers and normal plants. And each one, going from left to right, is the cheapest to most expensive. Now, when looking at the aquatic plants, we can see that blue holly provides more than the water fern, even though it costs more, and it actually does take up a bit more space. And the water flowers give the exact same as the lily pad, even though the lily pad costs insurmountably more than the water flower. When we look at the trees, we see that the golden apple has a pretty high rate, and it's actually a better rate than the azure pine, which is the next one you unlock. And all of the other trees are significantly more expensive, almost the same cost as the endgame tree, and the endgame tree's rate is actually beaten by a simple jungle plant. But the biggest issue with the rates is the actual plants and flowers, as we can see from this graph here. The equinox flower clearly provides the most return on your waiting time, and some of them are barely better than the free plant you receive in the beginning. The most expensive plant doesn't even break a fern's rate of return. And if you want to fix just the rates and just the rates alone, all you have to do is drop everything into like a, Google spreadsheets or Excel if you have that. And just pop in all the values by doing the simple equation, make a chart, just the exact same way that I did it here, and then you can see if your rates are progressive correctly. Now, although the goal should be an increasing progression based on the cost of plants and whatnot, it's only a band-aid on the current setup and system. But I do actually have a little idea for this game that would fix both of those problems, as well as introduce a whole new layer of strategy and creativity. And that would be by implementing a type of banding system. Each plant's band should be like 2 to 3 times the diameter of the plant's sprite. And within that band, the same plant can't be planted, but you can plant other flowers or trees or whatever the else you want within there. And you can also force a variety of trees on people by keeping trees their own colliders in general as a group, so that these like rainforest situations don't pop up. And you could flip this for plants that look better grouped together, like the grasses, or in my opinion, the equinox flowers. Perhaps they only work when they have a certain amount of them within their own band. And you could just put a maximum on the amount of that flower we're allowed to have. And one of the islands could be meant to be more like a jungle or rainforest, where you remove that tree cap banding and it just allows you to plant as many trees as you want. And that really solves the first problem that the game has, where we are trying to create just plant factories. Now we have a limited amount of space per plant, per tree, and we have to try to figure out the best way we can fill in the gaps in between. And it can also be used to fix a lot of the problems in the second issue here. With the banding system, it can, instead of just being a secondary collider of sorts, it can also function as an effect area. So maybe the green vine doesn't give you much mana in return, but anything within its banding area gives you like double to triple the amount of mana. Maybe putting crowning flowers next to trees, maybe that makes the trees produce quicker. And with flowers you can clump together, maybe they get bonuses by how many are clumped in there, up to a maximum. You could make it like equinox flowers get bonus if there's 1 or 2, and then that way it kind of makes people make it into like a strand of equinox flowers. Or with ogre fingers, maybe you only are allowed to plant like 10 of them on your island in total, but you can cram 10 into a band and they all give each other a bonus. Slap some green vines around it and some other and then you have like a little ogre finger strategy going on. And I mean, really, like, the sky's the limit at that point. Like, you can even create it so that decor gives a bonus, but only a bonus. It doesn't create anything else. And so, like, you want to put down decor, and anything outside of its band gets a bonus, maybe. You know, like, you can use it to promote beautiful gardens and how to help create beautiful gardens just by utilizing the strategies that you're providing players. And with all of this implemented, now you have creative strategies building, and you have more rules that you can utilize to create more intricate and interesting islands that we can travel to next, as well as forcing players into more interesting and varied islands rather than just creating plant factories or being punished for creating something pretty. And this could be an easy implementation, or it could be a difficult one. It all really depends on how things are set up and what engine they're in. I think they're in Godot, so that could be easy, I believe. And like a lighting up system for where the ring for the band is actually set up. But it could also be a complete nightmare to include all of this. But, you know, either way, I think it would just really elevate the game to a whole nother level. And now that we've covered that, I really want to look at the capsule art and the logo for this game, because they are a bit rough here. The logo is missing the T. I know that it's supposed to be on the ascender of the H here, but it just really doesn't sell that without the body of the T. You really need that, I don't remember what the it's called. I'll put it in editing. But you need that like indication of the T being there, because right now it just says Regrowth, and it needs to say Regrowth, you know? But because the H doesn't look like a T whatsoever, you can just slide the H over and slap a T down here. But even still, this logo, so I like to I'm going to try to choose my words carefully. The letters themselves are they're not very legible. They're handwritten, swirling font, and it's really cramped into here, and because it's bent around the circle, it's not easily readable, and it's not very clear. So it makes it look kind of messy rather than magical. And the flat colors and the uneven line work and the gradients, it kind of it just doesn't look very nice. I don't really know. I want to say it looks amateur. Because I'm just like outright kind of just on the logo and not really giving advice, I figured I'd whip up one, and I created 3 different variants of it. If you want one, just feel free to ask. No credits needed. You don't gotta pay me or nothing like that. They're just feel free. I really like 3 a lot. And as far as the way the capsule art should probably be laid out, I got this. Obviously it makes no sense right now, but I don't have the actual art for it set up or nothing, but the pink is meant to be the sky, the brown is meant to be a tower, the black should be the logo placement, the white is the alpaca prints, the green is the land, you can have some flowers in there, and then the river is the blue bit there, just like a little bit of water. And then that way you have all the elements of the game within one single image. But yeah, if you wanted to do that, you know, all up to you. There's only 2 other things, and both of them are small things, and they're not really like super essential. They're just some things I have to bring up, or I would regret it. So this water looks like cake batter. It doesn't really feel like water. It's just kind of like glooping down. Water should be like misting in the air. And these trees kind of look like jellyfish. It's just this tree. It just looks like a jellyfish, sort of, like not really so much like a tree. But honestly, the only thing this game really needs is like a rate balancing. And beyond that, it is really fun. And I'm sure I'm going to be running on my second monitor all the time. The banding system would just provide a lot of replayability and a lot more strategy and variety in how people would build out their islands. But anyway, if you want to try it out, I'm pretty sure the demo is available on Steam. I don't think I got a key for this one. I forget about stuff all the time. Like the video or some shit, leave a comment. I don't know, do the YouTube shit. Bye.